By the end of this project, we will transform a fresh Ubuntu installation into a hardened Linux server. The security controls we will implement include creating secure users, configuring SSH key authentication, restricting network access using a firewall, protecting against brute force attacks using fail2ban, and analyzing system logs. You might be wondering, why start with Linux hardening in a cloud security roadmap? Because cloud infrastructure is built on these same concepts. An AWS EC2 instance is still a Linux server. A Kubernetes node runs on Linux. Cloud security tools can protect infrastructure, but if the underlying operating system is insecure, the entire environment is at risk. Understanding Linux security gives us the foundation for securing cloud workloads. Every day, thousands of Linux servers are exposed to the internet. Many of these servers are running with default configurations, weak authentication methods, unnecessary services, and poor access controls. If an attacker gains access to one of these servers, they may steal data, install malware, create backdoors, or completely compromise the infrastructure. In this project, I am going to take a fresh Ubuntu Linux server and harden it using real-world security practices used by cloud security engineers. When a Linux server is created, it usually works immediately, but working does not mean secure. A production server requires additional security controls. A cloud security engineer needs to reduce the attack surface and make sure that only authorized users can access systems. Before we start hardening the Linux server, I have configured remote access using SSH. For this lab, I am using PuTTY as my SSH client, and my Ubuntu machine is running inside VirtualBox. Since the virtual machine is running locally, I need a way to connect from my host machine to the Ubuntu VM. To achieve this, I have configured port forwarding in VirtualBox. First, open the settings of the Ubuntu virtual machine. Navigate to the network section and make sure adapter 1 is enabled. At the bottom, you will find the port forwarding option. This allows us to create a connection between a port on our host machine and a port inside the virtual machine. Here, I am creating a forwarding rule from my host machine to the Ubuntu VM. The host IP is set to 127.0.0.1, which represents my local machine. I am mapping port 2222 on my host machine to port 22 on the virtual machine. Port 22 is the default SSH port used by Linux systems. So whenever I connect to 122.0.0.1 on port 2222, VirtualBox forwards that connection to port 22 inside the Ubuntu VM. For the guest IP field, I am leaving it empty. This allows VirtualBox to automatically forward traffic to the appropriate network interface of the virtual machine. After saving this configuration, I can use PuTTY to connect securely to my Ubuntu server through SSH. This setup simulates how administrators remotely access Linux servers in real environments, such as AWS EC2 instances, where SSH is commonly used for server management. Now let's connect to our Ubuntu VM and verify our Linux environment. First, we check the current logged-in user using the command whoami. This tells us which user is currently performing actions on the server. In security, tracking user activity is important for auditing and accountability. Next, we check our system information using hostnamectl. This command shows important details about our server, including the hostname, operating system version, Linux kernel version, system architecture, and virtualization environment. Before hardening a server, a cloud security engineer first understands the asset they are securing. This information gives us our initial system baseline before applying security controls. Now let's understand the users that already exist on our Linux server. Linux stores user account information in the /etc/password file. To view this file, we run cat/etc/password. This will display all the users configured on the system. Each line represents one user account and contains information such as the username, user ID, home directory, and login shell. For example, the root user has a UID of 0.
The root account is the most powerful account on Linux because it has complete control over the system. A compromised root account means an attacker can install malware, delete logs, create new users, steal credentials, or modify applications. Next, we have normal users, like the Ubuntu user. Regular users usually have a UID starting from 1000 and have limited permissions. They cannot make system-level changes unless they are given additional privileges through sudo. We also see service accounts, like www-data. These accounts are used by applications, such as Apache, Nginx, and web servers. Service users usually do not have interactive login access because they only need permissions to run specific applications. Understanding users is an important part of Linux security because a cloud security engineer must control who can access systems and what actions they are allowed to perform. This follows the principle of least privilege. Users should only have the permissions they need and nothing more.
Now that we understand the existing users on our Linux server, the next step is to create a dedicated administrative user. In production environments, we avoid using the root account directly. Instead, we create separate users and provide administrative privileges only when required. Let's create a new security administrator user. We use the command sudo add user security admin. The add user command creates a new user account, and the sudo command allows us to execute this action with administrative privileges. During the process, Linux will ask us to set a password and provide some optional user information. For this lab, I am creating a user called security admin. After creating the user, let's verify that the account was created successfully.
We use cat/etc/password grep security admin. This searches the /etc/password file and displays only the entry related to our new user. The output shows important information. The username is security admin. The UID and GID identify this user uniquely on the system. The home directory is /home/securityadmin. And the default shell is /bin, which means this user can interact with the Linux command line. Creating dedicated administrative users is a security best practice because it improves accountability. Instead of multiple people sharing a root account, every administrator gets their own identity, making actions easier to track through system logs. Now that we have created the security administrator user, the next step is to give this user controlled administrative access. Currently, security admin is a normal Linux user. This means the user can perform regular tasks, but cannot make system-level changes. In Linux, instead of using the root account directly, we use the sudo mechanism to provide temporary administrative privileges. To add our user to the sudo group, we run sudo usermod ag-sudo security admin. Let's understand this command. Usermod is used to modify an existing user account. The -a option means append. It adds the user to a new group without removing existing group memberships. The -g option specifies the group we want to add the user to. In this case, we are adding security admin to the sudo group. The sudo group contains users who are allowed to execute administrative commands with elevated privileges. After adding the user, let's verify the group membership. We run groups security admin. The output should show security admin sudo. This confirms that our user now belongs to both its personal group and the sudo administrative group. From a security perspective, this is safer than using the root account directly. The reason is that every administrative action should be authenticated. We know which user performed the action. Authorized, the user has permission to perform that action. And auditable, the activity is recorded and can be reviewed later. When a user runs a command using sudo, Linux records this activity in system logs. For example, security admin executed, sudo apt update. Security teams can review these logs to understand who performed administrative actions and when they happened. This approach follows the principle of least privilege and is the standard way administrators manage Linux servers in production environments. Now that we have added our security administrator user to the sudo group, let's test that the configuration is working correctly. First, we will switch from our current user to the new security admin user. We use the command su-securityadmin. The su command allows us to switch users, and the dash loads the user's complete environment, including their home directory and configuration. Now, let's confirm which user we are logged in as. We run whoami. The output should show security admin. This confirms that we are now working under the security administrator account. Next, let's test whether this user has administrative privileges. We run sudo whoami. The sudo command allows a permitted user to execute a command with elevated privileges. The output should be root. This does not mean we have permanently logged in as root. Instead, it means this user can temporarily perform a specific administrative action with root privileges. This is the preferred security model in production environments. Instead of allowing direct root login, administrators use their own accounts and request elevated privileges only when needed. This provides better accountability because every administrative action can be linked back to a specific user account through system logs.
In this session, we started building the foundation of our Linux Server Hardening project. We learned how Linux manages users and groups, explored existing system accounts, created a dedicated security administrator user, and configured controlled administrative access using the sudo group. Instead of relying on the root account, we followed a more secure approach by using individual user accounts with limited and auditable privileges. These concepts are fundamental for cloud security engineers because the same principles apply when securing cloud servers, such as AWS EC2 instances and production Linux workloads. In the next steps of this project, we will continue hardening our Ubuntu server by securing remote access. We will configure SSH key-based authentication, disable insecure login methods, restrict unauthorized access, and apply additional security controls used in real-world environments. By the end of this project, we will transform a default Ubuntu installation into a hardened Linux server following industry security practices.
Thanks for watching, and let's continue building our cloud security engineer skill set together. If you found this project helpful, consider subscribing to the channel. Your subscription and support motivate me to create and share more practical security projects, cloud security tutorials, and real-world engineering practices. Stay tuned for the next part of this Linux Server Hardening project, where we will continue securing our Ubuntu server with SSH hardening and additional security controls. See you in the next video.